A wall that should not exist. The Great Wall of China stretches across mountains, deserts, and vast landscapes, covering thousands of miles in a way that seems almost impossible. It is often described as one of the greatest human achievements in history, yet the more it is observed, the more it raises questions. Why would a civilization invest so much time, effort, and resources into building something on such an enormous scale? The answer may not be as simple as it seems. Built across impossible terrain. The wall does not follow an easy path. Instead, it climbs steep mountains, crosses dangerous ridges, and extends into harsh deserts where survival itself is a challenge. Building in these conditions would have required not only manpower, but also advanced planning and coordination. It suggests a level of determination that goes beyond simple defense. The official story. Historians explain that the wall was built to protect ancient China from northern invasions, particularly from nomadic tribes. It was meant to act as a barrier, a line of defense that could slow down or stop incoming threats. Over centuries, different dynasties expanded and reinforced it, turning it into the structure we see today. A defense that didn't always work. Despite its massive scale, the wall did not always succeed in stopping invasions. There are multiple recorded instances where enemies simply went around it, passed through gates, or even bribed guards. This raises an important question. If it was not fully effective as a defensive structure, why continue building it for so long? Something more than a wall. When viewed from above, the structure begins to look less like a simple barrier and more like a network. Watchtowers are placed at regular intervals, creating lines of communication across vast distances. Signals could be sent using smoke, fire, or light, allowing messages to travel quickly from one end to another. An ancient communication system. Some researchers believe the wall functioned as one of the earliest large-scale communication systems in human history. Messages could travel faster than any messenger on foot or horseback. This turns the wall into something entirely different, not just a barrier, but a system designed to connect.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.
Built with human cost. The construction of the wall came at a great cost. Thousands, possibly millions of workers were involved, many of them forced laborers. Conditions were harsh, and many did not survive the process. Some legends even claim that those who died were buried within the wall itself. The Wall of the Dead. Stories passed down through generations describe the wall as more than just stone and earth. They describe it as a place where human suffering became part of its structure. Whether these stories are entirely true or not, they add a darker layer to its history. Alignments and patterns. When studied closely, parts of the wall appear to follow patterns that are not entirely explained by geography alone. Some sections align with natural features in ways that seem intentional. Others appear to follow paths that suggest deeper planning. A line across the world. From a distance, the wall resembles a line drawn across the land, almost as if it was marking something. Not just territory, but perhaps boundaries of influence, knowledge, or control. This idea introduces a different perspective on its purpose. Beyond defense. If the wall was not purely defensive, then what else could it have been? Some theories suggest it acted as a way to control movement, not just keeping enemies out, but also keeping people in. It may have been as much about internal control as external protection. The silence of the wall. Today, large sections of the wall stand in silence. No soldiers guard it, no signals are sent. Yet it still carries a presence, as though it was built for something greater than what we currently understand.
secrets still hidden. Even now, parts of the wall remain unexplored. Buried sections, hidden chambers, and forgotten passages may still exist beneath layers of earth and time. What remains undiscovered could change the way we understand its purpose. A structure out of time. The Great Wall of China does not belong to a single moment in history. It was built, rebuilt, and expanded over centuries, making it a structure that exists across time itself. This gives it a unique presence, something that feels both ancient and continuous. The question that remains. In the end, the Great Wall of China is more than just a wall. It is a mystery carved into the earth, a structure that raises as many questions as it answers. And perhaps the most important question is not why it was built, but whether we truly understand its purpose at all. A wall built over generations. The Great Wall of China was not built in a single moment, nor by a single ruler. It is the result of centuries of construction, expansion, and reconstruction carried out by multiple dynasties, each adding their own sections, their own designs, and their own purpose. This means that what we see today is not one unified structure, but a layered creation, shaped by time itself. Each generation that contributed to the wall may have had a different reason for continuing its construction. Some may have believed in its defensive role, while others may have seen it as a symbol of power, or even as a project that needed to be completed simply because it had already begun. Over time, the original purpose may have evolved or even been forgotten entirely, leaving behind a structure whose true intention is no longer clear. Materials from the land itself. One of the most fascinating aspects of the wall is the way it was built using materials taken directly from the surrounding environment. In mountainous regions, stone was used. In desert areas, compacted earth and sand formed its structure. In other regions, bricks were crafted and assembled with remarkable precision. This adaptability suggests that the builders were not only skilled, but also deeply connected to the land they were working with. The wall becomes, in a sense, an extension of the landscape itself, blending into the terrain rather than standing apart from it. This raises an interesting idea that the wall was not simply placed on the land, but was designed to become part of it. The labor behind the stones. Behind every stone and every section of the wall lies the story of the people who built it. Workers, soldiers, prisoners, and laborers were all involved in its construction, often under extremely harsh conditions. Long journeys, limited supplies, and dangerous terrain made the process incredibly difficult. Many of these workers never returned home. Their lives became part of the wall's history, even if their names were never recorded. This human element adds a deeper layer to the structure, transforming it from a physical object into a reflection of sacrifice, endurance, and human effort on a massive scale. Signals across the sky. The watchtowers along the wall were not placed randomly. They were carefully positioned to maintain visual contact with one another, allowing signals to travel across vast distances in a short amount of time. Smoke during the day, fire at night, and even flags or mirrors could be used to send messages. This system created a network of communication that was far ahead of its time. Information could move faster than any individual, creating a sense of connection across regions that would otherwise be isolated. In this way, the wall functioned not just as a barrier, but as a line of communication stretching across the landscape. Control and observation. From the high vantage points of the wall, it was possible to observe large areas of land. Movements could be tracked, patterns could be noticed, and changes in the environment could be detected. This suggests that the wall may have also served as a tool for observation, not just defense. Control over territory often depends on the ability to see and understand what is happening across it. The wall provided this advantage, allowing those who controlled it to maintain awareness over a vast region.
A boundary of worlds. For those living within its borders, the wall may have represented safety and protection. For those outside, it may have symbolized separation and exclusion. This dual role creates the idea of the wall as a boundary between different worlds, not just geographically, but culturally and socially. It becomes more than a physical structure. It becomes a symbol of division, a line that defines who belongs and who does not. The passage of time. As centuries passed, parts of the wall were maintained, while others were left to decay. Nature began to reclaim certain sections, covering them with vegetation or eroding them with wind and rain. This gradual transformation adds another layer to the wall's story. Time does not erase the wall completely, but it reshapes it, blending it back into the landscape from which it was built. This creates a sense of continuity, where the wall exists both as a human creation and as part of the natural world. Legends that surround it. The Great Wall is not only a historical structure, but also a source of countless legends. Stories of ghosts, spirits, and unexplained events have been associated with it for generations. Some believe that the spirits of those who died during its construction still remain. These legends may not be scientifically proven, but they contribute to the atmosphere of mystery that surrounds the wall. They transform it into something more than just a physical structure, giving it a presence that feels almost alive. The wall as a symbol. Over time, the meaning of the wall has changed. It has become a symbol of strength, unity, and determination. It represents the ability of a civilization to undertake a project of immense scale and see it through across generations. But symbols can have multiple meanings. While it represents strength, it also reflects the cost of achieving it. This duality adds depth to its significance, patterns that remain unexplained. Despite extensive study, there are still aspects of the wall that are not fully understood. Certain alignments, construction methods, and structural choices continue to raise questions. These unexplained elements leave room for interpretation and speculation. They remind us that even well-documented history can contain mysteries that have yet to be solved. Beyond human purpose. When viewed from a broader perspective, the wall begins to feel almost beyond human scale. Its length, complexity, and integration with the landscape create the impression that it serves a purpose larger than any single explanation. This idea leads to speculation. Could the wall have had additional functions that were not recorded? Could it have been part of something greater, something that has not yet been fully understood? A structure that watches. Standing on the wall, looking out across the land, there is a sense that it is not just a structure built for observation, but one that continues to observe. The stillness, the height, and the silence combine to create an atmosphere that feels almost alive. It is not something that can be proven, but it is something that can be felt. The limits of understanding. No matter how much is studied, there will always be limits to what can be known about the past. Records can be lost, details can be forgotten, and interpretations can change over time. The Great Wall exists within these limits. It offers clues, but not complete answers. It invites curiosity, but resists full explanation. A question without an end. In the end, the Great Wall of China is not just a structure that can be explained with facts and dates. It is a mystery that continues to unfold, a story that is still being explored.
And perhaps that is what makes it so powerful. Not what we know about it, but what we still don't. The silence between the stones. When standing on the Great Wall, there is something that cannot be fully explained. It is not just the wind or the vast landscape stretching into the distance. It is the silence itself. A silence that feels heavier than expected, as though it carries something within it. Each stone, each brick seems to hold a story that is no longer spoken. The wall does not tell its history openly. Instead, it keeps it hidden, buried within layers of time. And in that silence, there is a strange feeling, as if something is still waiting to be understood. Footsteps that are no longer there. There was a time when this wall was alive with movement. Soldiers walking along its paths, messengers carrying urgent information, workers repairing and expanding its structure. The sound of footsteps would have echoed across its surface. Now those footsteps are gone. But when looking across its long, empty stretches, it is difficult not to imagine them, not as clear memories, but as faint impressions, as if the wall itself remembers the presence of those who once walked upon it. Height and perspective. From the top of the wall, the world appears different. The elevation changes how everything is seen. Distances stretch further, details become smaller, and the horizon feels more distant. This change in perspective may have been intentional. It allowed those who stood upon it to see beyond what was immediately in front of them, to observe, to anticipate, and perhaps to understand patterns that could not be seen from below. It transforms the wall into more than a structure. It becomes a place of awareness. Signals lost to time. The watchtowers once carried signals that moved faster than any traveler. Smoke rising into the sky, flames cutting through the darkness of night, messages passed from one point to another in a matter of moments. But those signals are no longer sent. The system that once connected distant regions has fallen silent. Yet the towers remain, standing as reminders of a network that once existed, a system that may have been far more advanced than it appears. The idea of a line. A wall is, at its simplest, a line, a separation between one side and another. But this line is not simple. It stretches across landscapes that change dramatically, adapting to mountains, valleys, and plains. It is not straight, not uniform, and not easy to define. This suggests that the line itself may have been shaped by more than just geography. It may have followed something else, something less visible. What lies beneath? Much of the Great Wall remains hidden. Beneath the visible structure, there may be layers that have yet to be uncovered. Foundations, earlier constructions, or even entirely different structures that were built before what we see today. These hidden elements raise an important question. How much of the wall do we actually know? And how much remains buried beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered? The weight of history. The wall carries weight, not just physically, but historically. It represents centuries of effort, decisions, and changes. Each section reflects a different moment in time, a different purpose, a different intention. This accumulation of history creates complexity. It means that the wall cannot be understood as a single idea. It must be seen as many ideas layered together, forming something that is both unified and fragmented at the same time. A structure that endures. Despite everything it has faced, time, weather, and human activity, large portions of the wall still stand. This endurance is remarkable. It suggests that the builders understood how to create something that would last,
something that could resist change, even as everything around it continued to evolve. This durability adds to the sense that the wall was built with long-term intention. Distance without end. Walking along the wall, the distance feels endless. It stretches far beyond what can be seen, disappearing into the horizon again and again. This endlessness creates a unique experience. It becomes less about reaching a destination and more about the act of moving through it. The wall transforms into a journey rather than a place. The unknown purpose. Even with all that is known, there is still a sense that something is missing from the explanation of the wall's purpose. The official reasons, defense, communication, and control may explain part of it, but not all of it. There are elements that do not fully fit within those explanations, details that suggest there may have been additional purposes that were never recorded, patterns that can be felt.
The edge of understanding. Every attempt to fully explain the Great Wall brings us closer to understanding, but never all the way. There is always a boundary, a point beyond which certainty fades. This edge of understanding is where the wall exists, between what is known and what is still hidden. A presence that remains. Even in its silence, even in its stillness, the Great Wall of China continues to hold a presence. It is not just a relic of the past, but something that continues to exist in the present. It stands, unchanged in many ways, yet constantly being reinterpreted. And perhaps that is what makes it so powerful, not just what it was, but what it still is. The wall and the sky. Above the Great Wall, the sky stretches endlessly, just as it did centuries ago. The same sun rises, the same stars appear at night, and yet everything below has changed. The people are gone, the purpose is uncertain, but the wall remains. This contrast between what changes and what stays the same creates a strange feeling, as if the wall exists outside of time, connected to something more permanent than the civilizations that built it. Shadows that move without form. As the light shifts throughout the day, shadows move slowly across the surface of the wall. They stretch, shrink, and disappear, only to return again. These shadows give the structure a sense of motion, even when everything else is still. It creates the illusion that the wall is not entirely static, that in some way it is still active, still part of something larger. A path with no final destination. Following the wall from one section to another, there is no clear ending. It continues beyond mountains, beyond valleys, beyond what the eye can see. Every time it seems to reach a limit, it continues again. This endless extension removes the idea of completion. The wall does not feel finished, it feels ongoing. The memory of intention. Every structure begins with an intention, a reason to build, a purpose to fulfill. But over time, those intentions can fade, especially when the people who created them are no longer there to explain. The Great Wall still carries that original intention, even if it can no longer be clearly defined. It exists as a memory of purpose, a purpose that may never be fully recovered. What if we misunderstood everything? There is always the possibility that the way we interpret the wall is incomplete, that what we see as defense, communication, or control is only part of a much larger idea. What if the wall was built for something that no longer exists, something that left no clear trace behind, except for the wall itself? The hidden function idea. Some structures in history have revealed hidden purposes long after they were built. Chambers discovered beneath pyramids, mechanisms found inside ancient devices, patterns uncovered through modern technology. The Great Wall may still hold secrets like this, not visible from the outside, not obvious at first glance, but waiting quietly beneath the surface. A structure that outlasts memory. Human memory fades over time. Stories change, details are lost, meanings shift. But the wall remains. It holds its form even as the understanding of it changes. This creates a separation between the physical structure and the knowledge surrounding it. The wall becomes something stable in a world where memory is not. Standing at the edge. To stand on the Great Wall is to stand at the edge of something difficult to define. Not just the edge of a country or boundary, but the edge of understanding. Looking out across the land, it becomes clear that this structure is more than what it appears to be. It is not just a wall, it is a question. The question that never ends. And after everything that has been said, after every theory, every explanation, every possibility, one question still remains. Why was something this massive, built in this way, across such impossible terrain, for so long? If it was only for defense, why does it feel like something more? And if it was something more, why has that meaning been lost? The Great Wall of China still stands today, silent, unmoving, unanswered. And perhaps the most unsettling part is this. We may be walking across it, looking directly at it, studying every stone, and still not truly understanding what it was built for. And if that question still has no answer, then maybe we haven't reached the end of the story yet.